Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey everybody, what's going on? We're rolling. We're live. I hit all the things.
Yeah.
Maybe a little too hard.
Maybe too hard. There's like four. I have to switch between like three or four different applications when I go live. Did I get this one? Did I get this one? Am I recording? Backup recording? This is being recorded twice.
Are we live on Helix Rock Radio?
We are live. Yes, that's it. Are we live on social media? I don't want to do another like. I don't mind giving Helix an exclusive show, but that's usually not my goal.
Right.
Anyway, hey everybody, man, we got things to talk about, I think.
Oh, we'll find something to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I know for one, I think we all watched the Minecraft movie trailer. Honestly, I don't know how much we'll have to say, but I watched that and I was like, ooh, Grawlix fodder.
Yeah.
Oh man, you got me wound up just posting it in the thing. I was like, well, okay. This makes zero sense. Like, I had heard rumblings that Jack Black was. Are we just gonna jive in? Were we just gonna jump in?
We're gonna jive in, man.
We're gonna jive in. We're gonna just jazz hands. Was that jazz?
Jump
hands?
in.
Yeah. That's an old.
Yeah. Jazz hands. Maybe some sparkle fingers. They're very similar.
Yeah. Right.
Sparkle.
That's some
motion.
old school Grawlix podcast for you there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Jazz hands intensifies.
you remember the episode titles? That's so good. Not giving episodes their own special titles really, like, I need to start doing that again because
it's fun.
It's fun. Makes the episodes more memorable.
That's what was fun, like going through the old archives to try and find it's a secret, don't tell anybody.
Yep. I do need to revamp the website because, it works how I set it up like 7 years ago or however long it was. I did that version of the website, but it needs to be revamped. It could be easier to traverse the back catalog for sure. Yes, we will jump into it, but first, how are you two doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, but first, the part of the intro that sucks all the energy.
Sorry,
yeah,
a second ago, it sounded like you were saying the Bat catalog, and I was like,
I heard that too.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, are we
that's funny.
Doing that now?
It's very Randy. It's very Randy to make it about Batman again.
The Bat catalog.
Yeah.
Oh, do you guys always talk about Batman? No, but it's still. All the stuff in the Batcave isn't just about Batman, right?
It's not all about bats. I mean, there's a computer there.
Yeah.
Batman has a chair.
A railing.
Yeah.
And Alfred Pennyworth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this Minecraft trailer.
What was it I saw? One it was a meme or something. It might have actually been a comic panel or whatever, and it was like somebody was talking about dinosaurs, and Batman's like, "I love dinosaurs." And they're like, "You do?" And he was like, "I've got a giant dinosaur in the Batcave."
That's great.
It's like, I don't know that dinosaur's ever been explained, but like that's the closest to an explanation that we've ever gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder because the giant penny, I'm sure, came from a lot of those. Definitely would have come from the one of the more wackier eras of Batman. But what is the backstory of the dinosaur? I don't think I know.
Yeah,
he just wanted one like Nick Cage.
right. Yeah,
probably at some point an artist was going to draw the Batcave and was like, "What should I put in here?" And then just was like, give me some of the old issues and just like thumb through the covers of all the issues. Just like giant penny. Okay. Well, Batman and a dinosaur. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Just pick random outlandish things from different previous covers. I used to love the old when I was younger, I'd go to the library and they'd have some comics, but they'd also have books about comic. There's lots of books about the history of Batman comics and stuff, and there'd
Mhm.
be excerpts and full comics in some of those. That's where I learned a lot of the old school history about Batman. But I loved they do the super detailed cross sections and layouts of the Batcave and stuff. Just get real nerdy about it and have
Oh, yeah.
everything labeled. And man, I used to love that.
Well, yeah, one of the things that I most recently listened to that audiobook about like the rise and fall of TSR, the game company that did Dungeons and Dragons before Hasbro bought it and gave it to Wizards of the Coast, or made it part of that. Yeah, it's interesting because Marvel Superhero RPG was a TSR entity at one point too, and I remember one of my favorite books was buying one of those books and then like getting this other, like, because to do an RPG about something you've got to get pretty granular, and so it's like they're describing what Avengers Mansion looks like because it was a mansion at that time. I was like, yeah, I always dug that.
I hate that kind of stuff.
It's fair.
Really?
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, dude, when Savannah lived with me, she would spend the day like I'd be like trying to go to sleep, and she'd be like, "I went to Katie Brown's house, and how it's set up where like the living room right here, and there's stairs over here, and then this is right here, and then I'm like, shut up, I don't need to go to sleep, just shut up."
I don't need a floor plan right now.
Yeah,
I need to count some sheep. How many sheep did she have in her house?
So it's made me hate anything like that now.
That's weird. That's a weird. Yeah, but there's like a picture. That's weird. Okay, I get it. It's like I don't need to know. I prefer just the idea of Batcave. I don't need to know specifics.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I don't need to know how much the giant penny weighs. That's dumb.
Right. It's there. I guarantee that information's there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Anyway, so I'm sure we've talked about it in the past. I'm sure there's been various news stories we've covered about a potential Minecraft movie. But this continues the trend of a movie made on a video game property that should have came out 10 years ago, at least.
Yeah,
but
it should have come out a long time ago, and also, what?
I didn't even know this was going to be a thing. I didn't know Jack Black was in it. I didn't know anything. I seen it popped up in a Google News story. I seen there's something about the Minecraft movie trailer, and it had a picture of Jason Momoa from the trailer. Yeah. And Melanie was sitting there next to me. It's when I went, "Oh, that's disgusting. What is that? I got to look this up." and so that I searched the trailer up on YouTube.
But like when you have a property and you're ready to license it out, do you think to yourself, I'm going to find someone that's really going to respect the property, like dig into it, understand it, and then try to adapt it into some kind of story that might make some kind of sense in the lore of the game? Or do you say, you know what? Minecraft is about blocks, so let's make things a little rounder and put real people that aren't blocky in it.
I wasn't super fond of the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out not too long ago, but at least they handled it correctly. Most of the scenes of that movie look like they could have been, albeit higher quality graphics than most Nintendo systems can handle, but could have been a cutscene from a Mario game.
Yeah.
Mario looked like Mario. It was all appropriate.
Game.
Yeah. But putting the real people in there, making them like, what a weird cast. Like, it's such a mix mash of people.
And why would you make them less blocky? Like, everything's rounder.
They are rounder, like softer looking. The creatures are softer looking. The creatures are. Everything about this was just kind of disgusting to me. The like, oh, cute creatures, but they're kind of goofy. Their eyes are pointed out like that. Every ratchet basic, they're gonna be loud. They're gonna be eating it up. They're like, oh, look at that. It made me feel like just the attitude of this is like, yeah, suck this slop up. You're gonna take your kids to this. You know you will. I don't care. Suck it up. That's how it makes me feel. That's the attitude I get.
Did you guys watch the Lego Movie? At least the first one.
Yeah.
I never watched the second one, but like the first one was surprisingly good and had heart and was funny and like it was like I don't have any business watching this movie, but I am watching it anyways. And you know what? Actually, at the end, I'm feeling some things. They got me. You got me in the feels a little bit. This movie will not do that. I'm just going to predict that right now. It's going to suck. Yeah, I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
You know, when I talked about Super Mario Brothers, whenever I had watched it, I should have compared it more to the Lego Movie because that's a good comparison because the Lego Movie somehow does accomplish that. And I don't know, part of it is maybe like it's not doing the like we're introduced to the strange land through a character who's supposed to be kind of normal, which is clearly what's going on in Minecraft. It's kind of what they did with Super Mario Brothers. It's like we're introduced to a character who lives in this weird world, but I don't know. It still worked. It still had like that sense of adventure. It didn't seem it's pretty quick paced, but it didn't seem overly quick paced, which was kind of my issue with like the Mario Brothers movie, where it's like it's an adventure. Check box, check this box, move on. Check. Lego Movie didn't do that. It felt more, at least the storytelling felt more organic.
Yeah, and
nothing
and
about
it was more
this
subtle. It's like you understood. I mean, even Barbie movie did this better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like what's the other one? I just watched Free Guy, like getting into recent watches. Free Guy sounds like it did it better, and I mean, like,
yeah,
you know, it just it doesn't look as awkward. You know, like Minecraft looks awkward and dumb.
Yeah.
It really does. It really does. So,
I know this thing is for kids, but kids are not dumb.
No,
that's
they're not.
You know, Lego Movie had some kind of dumb things in there for kids, but it didn't necessarily talk down to the kids all the time.
For fun though, like dumb can be fun. This just looks dumb and doesn't respect the lore. It doesn't feel like. I could be totally wrong. They may be hip deep in lore by the end of this movie, but it doesn't look like it from the trailer.
And Jack Black.
Yeah.
I'm Steve.
You
How
know,
can you make that less convincing? Like, I don't believe you're Steve at all, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, method, pal.
Yeah, no, you're Jack Black. You just have to put on a blue shirt that day. A blue T-shirt. Here's the problem: is everything in the trailer that we saw anyway is so calculated and transparent that that's the thing that makes it sickening to me. That's my beef with the animals, where it shows the pig or whatever, and then the like bit with the llama or whatever at the end with the chewing and the arrow. It's so like transparently like, haha, laugh at this. Right. And you know the reaction they were expecting when it's like Jack Black and he's like, I'm Steve, and they hold on it. You know the reaction, like people were like, oh, he's Steve, it's Steve. It's Steve from Minecraft, but it's Jack Black.
That's a character.
I think he's the guy from that thing.
Yeah.
To quote.
Yeah. No, I think Five Nights at Freddy's is going to do it better than this.
Yeah.
That's another example. That's another example. That's a rare example. That in Mario Brothers, although Mario Brothers is not really, it's remained relevant. That's a good example of a movie. It's like, what? This should have been, all these movies that should have come out 10 years ago, literally should have come out 10 years ago. They've been in production hell. So I looked a little, because I didn't even know this thing was happening, this Minecraft movie. I looked a little bit into it. Initially, Rob, what's his name? McElfrey from It's Always Sunny, and also he owns that Wrexham team with
with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah,
he was initially attached to direct it in 2015.
Oh no. Yeah, back when it was relevant. Yeah, that would have been a good
So
move back then. Maybe.
he
It still
still
would have been good.
has so whatever script they had at that point retained enough where he still gets a script credit on this, along with like five other people. So it's one of those deals where he was attached. I think the director that ended up being on it is whoever directed Napoleon Dynamite or something, which I guess might explain like the
Oh.
Jason Momoa look, like going for like weird, quirky people.
Rob would have been a better Steve. Way better Steve.
You know what? Yeah, I could see that.
Especially if you made the guy that lives in Minecraft world look like he lives there.
That's a
And
weird
just
thing.
gave
Yeah.
him the voice, like just give him the voice of Rob. Like he would have been great. He would have been great.
I
Kinda
think
would have
they
had
should
that-
have been able to talk. I think they should all just stare at you like you're stupid, like they do in Minecraft.
Oh, they just go, huh? Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
I might be wrong, but I feel like this is gonna not do the numbers they want or hoped or
I
expected.
mean, it's gonna make some money just because it has the Minecraft name on it.
You're right. You're right.
But and there will be kids that will go to it, but I don't think it's gonna be universally beloved. This is no Frozen, This isn't
Right.
even
Yeah.
gonna be Mario Brothers the movie.
No.
'Cause it's
Yeah.
got real people in it. Like, what are they thinking?
Money.
They should have.
money.
They should have pushed through whatever production issues and stalls and problems there were 9-10 years ago to get it out, because that like so the other example of the video game movie issue is Borderlands, which came out not long ago and famously
I love
crashed and
Borderlands,
burned.
but I don't want to see that. I don't want to see
It's
that movie.
by all accounts, I have not heard a single good thing about it. It's supposedly terrible, and it bombed real hard because they put a lot of money into it, and it's another property that's probably been 10 years in the making. They've been trying to get this
Sure.
going through different writers and all this, to the point where the guy who the script for Borderlands is attributed to Eli Roth and some other guy. I can't remember the name, but it doesn't matter because it's not the guy's real name, because he wanted his name taken off of the
Oh
project.
no.
So
that's not a good sign.
yeah, Eli Roth directed that one. He wasn't the original director, but or at least wasn't the original guy hired on. But I wonder, I'll be very curious to hear what the budget for the Minecraft movie is. I read today that when Rob was attached to it, they had an expected budget of $150 million. And they might have chopped that budget by the time it actually went into production.
It can't be huge because those people don't look like they're there. They look like bad blue or green screen.
I mean, it could be like a Flash deal, though, where the effects are rushed because they sank all the money in years of pre-production and stuff and rewrites and, studio mergers and different executives coming in and having different, like, that's kind of how that type of thing keeps going. So maybe what you eventually are seeing, they might have spent $150 million on it, on the movie, but you're not necessarily seeing all that on the screen.
Right.
Super Mario Brothers movie, Borderlands, and this. Jack Black's in all of them. That's
But like the joke that I made in the chat was like, give it to somebody that thinks they can do it better. Like Star Wars.
Mhm.
Like if Zack Snyder was like, I could do Star Wars, I could do it better. It's like, oh, let's give it to the equivalent of Zack Snyder, but then he wants to make a 3.5-hour movie. Nah, we're not gonna do that. Let's give it to somebody not quite Zack Snyder. Let's let them do it. Oh, and the animals that are actually cute in the game, let's make them look like Sonic the Hedgehog before they fixed him.
Right.
yeah. I almost wonder if there were any regrets when the Super Mario Brothers movie came out. It was all CG. is all animated, no live action characters. I wonder if there was anybody on this project who was like, "Oh, we really should have just done that. Why did we stick to this live action thing?"
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I was gonna say like the Mario Brother movie. Oh, the original Mario Brother movie, you mean?
No.
Oh,
The
okay. It
more
was like
recent one.
The one that made money. They're like probably not a lot of regrets because it was the biggest box office movie.
No,
of
but
that
I mean
year.
people working on people on the Minecraft production who obviously this has
Oh.
probably been set to have live action elements of some kind the whole time.
Right.
I wonder if anybody looked over at the Mario Brothers movie and was like, "Why didn't we just keep this animated?"
How much of their budget did they blow on Momoa and Jack Black alone?
It's probably a
Right.
big chunk of it. I don't know. Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
a big chunk of it.
Aquaman and Bowser.
I don't respect Jack Black for it, and from what I understand, he's talked to Kyle since. But
Oh yeah, he's even rolled
this
it
is
back and said we'll probably get back together, just not right now.
the fact that he's on this role of super high profile family movies, which with the potential to bring in lots of money, he wants to keep that role going. And I didn't even realize he was going to be in this, so it even makes more sense. It's like it's still. I mean, it doesn't make it better. It kind of makes it worse. He just
Yeah.
throw his friend under a bus, at least for a while,
Yeah.
at least publicly. Maybe
Until
behind the
everybody
scenes.
stop paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that's the only plausible way to handle it, but it's just kind of still seems spineless.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, it's been a long time since I played Minecraft, but I loved me some Minecraft.
Me too.
It's a good game.
Oh,
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I remember when it first came out, you were like, "That's stupid," and then you started playing it, and then you made me start playing it, and then everybody played it.
Oh man, like those early years of Minecraft where you kind of don't know what you're getting yourself into, and you're like, it's just playing with Legos. I'll just play with Legos, and then you get in there, and then the sun goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like
right.
remember that first time, and you're
Yeah.
like, I have to dig a hole. I have to hide in a hole.
I get way
There's
too stuck-
zombies out there.
Yeah.
Who put those out there?
It is one of the first games. It's not the only game that's made me feel this way, but I think it's one of the first games where, yeah, you're like, oh, it's getting dark. I just need to bury myself in a hole and try to feel as safe as I can till it's light again.
I just gotta wait it out until morning.
Yeah, and I get way too involved in everything that I do. So there's been times he gets mad at me when I'm like digging and a cow falls on my head and I scream. And yeah.
I don't get. Listen, it's not like I get mad at you for this thing happening.
He got mad at the heart attack he almost had.
Yes, because it's not. You scream that. Excuse me. That cow moment in particular. It was daytime. We were just building, having fun, playing. Probably split screen on the on the Xbox version.
Just a chill little sandbox game.
And then she screams at the top of her lungs out of nowhere.
That cow came from nowhere and it startled me.
It's like that scene in Twisted. We got cows.
We were probably even in creative mode or something, so there wasn't any actual threats.
It
I
doesn't
don't
matter.
know, but
It's a jump scare. I jump scare easy.
and then you jump scare me, and that's what
Yeah.
I get startled. Anyway, I don't know. You know what? Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe this movie's gonna be amazing.
It could be amazing. Oh wait, it's not
wait.
that time.
Oh, that's
yet.
not a
Okay.
that's
It's not
like a
that time
sequel.
yet. Oh no! Hold on, we got your hopes up, guys.
Melanie forced us to do
We
a real
really
short
got
episode.
Melanie's hopes up.
She could have just bulldozed through it and be like, "Oh," and then yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, what else you got? What do you guys been watching, consuming, doing?
Well,
anything interesting?
speaking of a lack of integrity, what?
That's a great segue. I don't know where this is going, but I love
what
this
could we?
segue.
What can we tell our fine listeners about right now?
Oh, maybe that's a terrible segue.
No. Why don't I segue into how I've been using a thing, and then we can segue
Okay,
into our
we'll
lack of
segue away
integrity.
from that segue
yeah,
first.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So just put a pin in that lack of integrity. It's coming.
Listen, we're not promoting the StreamYard here anymore. I want
No,
to,
come on, come on.
at least treat these people nicely at first.
Yeah.
We
right,
need to
right.
break
Yeah.
them in easy.
You don't have to listen to us, so we'll try to respect that.
right.
So, well, like I think I mentioned it in previous shows, and we've kind of toyed with the idea of maybe like doing a future episode with this. I haven't really been watching a whole lot lately. So the thing that I've been playing with the most is Deep Game, which is a Chat GPT under Chat GPT, right?
Mhm.
So like they have other chats that you can be involved in, and this is one
Right.
of them that you can use to do gaming, basically. So you can run like your D&D or whatever. And I've found like I've been using it basically to run the backstory of my character that I was playing, and then I kind of took over DMing responsibilities, and so then I kind of had to sideline my character. So to scratch the itch, if you will, I was like, well, I've kind of wanted to create a backstory for this character. Anyways, I kind of wanted to play with solo RPGs, solo tabletop role playing games. Like there's a whole thing about it. I mean, there's even YouTube channels that I've mentioned on here before, like Me, Myself, and Die, and he's even gone on to create his own game system. He's in the process of pretty soon he'll be kickstarting that. But I've been using this in conjunction with other solo role playing tools like Mythic GM Emulator. Which is an oracle that you can use to kind of take the place of a dungeon master or a game master.
Mhm.
And so what I've been doing is using Mythic for those yes/no fake questions, and then interpreting that for myself, and then plugging that into Deep Game is what the Chat GPT is called, and then it interprets what I give it, and then it gives me something sometimes that's totally out of the blue. So it feels like I have a dungeon master. It feels like I have a game master. In some ways, it's not perfect, but the more that I do myself, the better it is. Like for example, Axton, who we know and has been on the show like a long time ago, but he's a Grawlix super friend. He's been on the show. He had a character that I since killed as the dungeon master. But let's not belabor that point. I'm sure it's fine. No one still resents me for that. I basically in the course of that, we had decided that his character knew my character once upon a time, because Axton was the original DM or GM. And so when he came on as his character, we were like, oh, okay, well, here's an instant hook. He knew your character previously, right? So now I am solo role playing the prequel, basically, to my own campaign. And I fed it enough information to kind of simulate Axton's character. And by the end of it, it was pretty good. I started sending him bits, and he's like, that's kind of creepy how good that is. It was like, I started telling him about how, like his character had like goggles that he'd wear because he was a deep elf or a deep gnome, not a drow, but a Snurf Neblin, which is a subterranean gnome.
Bless you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate
Sorry.
that. Anyways, long story short, it's another case where people who hate AI are gonna just tell me how dumb this is. But
Why didn't you pay a DM? Why didn't you pay somebody to take Axton's place?
I could go to was it Roll20? I could go on to Roll20, and I could pay some DM to give me an actual game. But like this gave me exactly what I wanted. I wanted a solo RPG experience. Right. But this gave it that next level. It's like a GM emulator is good, but this just gives you that extra layer of unpredictability. Like it threw me some like light elemental, and at first I was like, oh, this is the AI jumping the shark. This is dumb. But by the end of it, I was like into it. I was like, tell me about the light elemental, please.
Nice.
I mean, like it's surprisingly good. And again, it's only as good. It's a tool, so it's only as good as your own imagination, right? So, like when I have to be able to kill my darlings. Like today, I used it, and I rolled on tables from Mythic, the Oracle, and it like something bad happens. A scene is interrupted, and so what I did was there's like these meaning tables, and you get like 2 words or whatever, and sometimes that's real easy to interpret yourself, and sometimes you're like, I don't know what this means. So that's where the AI comes in. That's where the AI is really nice. Is like I can be like, okay, I'll roll a D100, so it's a dice that has 100 sides, and I'll get something like I think it was flawless. Oh no! When I got the light elemental, it was like befriend and light, and so it's like boom, I've got a light elemental. I was like, I wouldn't have come up with a light elemental. I didn't even know that was I kind of knew that was a quasi plane or a paraplane. We're getting really nerdy right now, but
this is where we earn.
This
is where we earn back our nerd
You know
cred.
what? I need a elemental that looks like an angel, but he's not an angel. He's from the quasi plane of light. And there's going to be a nerd that says it's not. It's technically, it's not. It's one of the. It's one thing. It's not both of those things. You can't have a demi quasi plane.
This is what happens when you replace a real human with AI.
Yeah. Well, that was a comment of all time.
Can we just stop and appreciate? Yeah, no, that's interesting. That's such a good. I like that you. Yeah, you've talked about this a couple times, especially as we get older. It's not always super easy to find a bunch of other willing people who aren't bogged down with kids or, I don't know, midlife crises, who want to play some D&D with you.
May not be mine.
Right. Hey, you kind of handling it like me, Yeah, I keep my midlife crisis to myself. If I'm gonna spend 2 months binging Godzilla, I can. If you want to use chatbot to play RPG games with you,
like an adult,
keep this to ourselves.
That's right. Bottle it up. It's fine. What can go wrong?
Well, despite some of the more extreme reactions to AI, it's very handy for certain things.
You know what? I wish I had an AI that could read rule books to me. Like, I love D&D, but those books are big. They're really heavy, and there's a lot of words in them.
Well, sometimes there might be an article that summarizes some of those, but you know what? Maybe you don't even want to take the time to do that. Maybe you're too busy. Maybe you've got to put your eyes on something else, but you still want to absorb that information.
Like I got to drive places.
Exactly. Well, here's a question I have then. Do you have a collection of... Hold on, Do you have a collection of articles from the internet that you want to read but don't have the time to dive into at the moment?
Oh boy, howdy do I ever.
Listenlater.net has a new way to handle that problem with podcasting.
Ooh.
Oh no, podcasting come to take our jobs.
Oh, not again.
All right, in case you couldn't gather by my tone, which I'm treating this with the utmost respect, we got a sponsored segment here, so I'll just go ahead and transparency. Here's a sponsored segment. So listenlater.net turns articles into episodes of a podcast. So your reading list can be automatically transformed into a podcast. And I really like this setup, how they describe it here. It all works via email. So you just share any article you want via a special Listen Later email address, and listenlater.net will translate the whole thing into a spoken audio podcast. Listen Later uses some really high quality AI voices to read your audio. AI got your back. I don't know why.
Because that's you. That's the you of it all.
I do know
AI
why.
can't give you that, but you know what? Randy can.
Randy can. They're really excellent. They're really excellent narrators, unlike me. And you can choose from numerous voice options. You can also have listen later auto translate articles in other languages into your chosen language. That's huge.
Ooh.
Dude, that's one of the coolest. And I'll hold on to that thought. Go to listenlater.net and sign up now. It's free. Plus, Helix Rock Radio listeners, hello, Helix Rock Radio. You guys get 20% off, 20% extra credits for their initial purchase if they reach out via the support form. Let me read this again. Let me think of how to restate this. Plus, Helix Rock Radio listeners get 20% extra credits for their initial purchase if they reach out via the support form or the support email address. Again, that's listenlater.net and sign up and get 20% extra credits by mentioning Helix Rock Radio. And now the ad read does say it's free, but then it mentions a purchase with credits. If you haven't used a lot of services that use AI, you can sign up for free. They'll give you, I don't know, however much for in free credits to use. But because AI is computationally very heavy, most services have it set up so that you buy credits. If you burn through those using it a lot, then you can buy more. But that's how they kind of sustain the business model.
Even the deep game that I use gives you a certain amount, and then you have to either sign up for their plus service or you have to wait until a certain, like, it resets itself, right?
Right.
So that's how they can give it to you for free for a while. But if you want more, then that's where you pay for what you use.
But I like the idea of that. We're out of the ad. I am discussing the ad read now, but we're out of the ad read. I do like how that is set up in that it's not a toolbar, because I would have expected when I first was reading about this, I would have expected like add this extension to your browser. I don't like that. Right. Not that there would be necessarily doing anything shady, but you never know with browser extensions. So I like that it's just you send a link to that article to this email address, and then they email you back the audio when it's translated and voiced. Pretty cool.
Yeah, the translate. I mean, you were about to go off on that translation thing, and that is like, I mean, there's so many. I mean, that's the cool thing about being in a global society is that we have people from all over the world that we are in contact on a regular basis, and they may be trying to like communicate with us, and we have that language barrier, and this like shaves that right off the top. It's just like
right.
Like, oh, now I can have the same information you have, and it can be read to me, on the fly. Like I say, I do a lot of driving with my job. I've got a good 20 to 30 minute commute. So if somebody could package a thing that I needed to hear into a podcast or an audio format while I'm going to work, I mean, even some of my work emails, this meeting really could have been a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I like, and I'm assuming, I don't know the audio format it's sending you back as, probably MP3. That would make the most sense. But I do like the idea of like, you send out a bunch of articles throughout the week or whatever, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna throw these over to my phone or just load it up on whatever. Hop in the car, and then you can listen to all these articles throughout the week that you didn't really have time to dive into while you're doing other things, or while you're jogging is a thing I hear people do, or whatever.
I hear it's good for you. Well, that's something. I don't know.
Yeah, man, sounds like a lot of work.
I also like this idea because, like one of the big criticisms that a lot of people have is that, oh, well, AI is just taking away all of our creative jobs, right? Well, this is not a creative job, really. This is the kind of thing that you can use to be more efficient and get some of that information in a way that maybe you are more likely to receive it in. A lot of people are good with audio, with auditory learning. Mm-hmm. This would be perfect for that.
And you could, our voiceover artists and whatever. Voiceover art is not plausible. plus how miserable of a job would that be? I was just like, I just read people's articles and then email them the recording, I don't know, 1,000 times a day. It's just not plausible at a certain point.
Right.
And some websites do have the like, listen to this article, but most of them still use just the worst machine, like text to speech,
Like a Siri.
Microsoft built-in sounding. Yeah.
Yeah. Even Siri's gotten better, but like some of these are just like,
Right.
super monotone, and you can tell.
Yeah. And the AI, I don't know what back end they're using, but I'm familiar with similar services like and I've used like 11 Labs. It's not perfect, but it is way better at hitting a natural, especially if you feed it like a good chunk of stuff. It's way better at hitting a natural cadence as opposed to the traditional text to speech modules or whatever. That did sound like that's a good Brandon. Shout out to Brandon who runs Helix Arc Radio. That is a good ad read for Grawlix because we talk about that stuff anyway all the time.
Yeah, that gives us something to actually talk about. Like,
yeah, and I don't know how interesting to the listener it is, but just so we're clear, the ad read ended a while ago. We're just still
fascinating
talking.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still talking about this thing.
How did that come up before we went live? Maybe it was just that. Maybe it was the ad read, but I thought we were talking about an AI thing before. Doesn't matter. We can move on. Hey, I'll jump in. What have we been watching? Let me see. Because we've been watching some stuff. Oh, I do want to mention I rewatched The Terminator.
The original Terminator, yeah.
The original Terminator from 1984. And the reason 5 stars, by the way. I mean, in case you were wondering.
So good.
The reason, it also ties into the thing that Melanie and I finished that Terminator Zero anime series. But the reason I watched The Terminator specifically is because on the next episode of Middle-Aged Movie Reviews, I'm a guest on with Maddie D's show, and joined. There were 5 of us on there. It's an epic episode.
Oh my goodness!
It was a long. It's scene by scene, and we all had things to say every scene. So if you want to hear,
raise your hands, be like, "Is my turn to talk? Is it my turn to talk?"
Matt's really good. Matt's really good as a host of like
he's good at
throwing
asking you. Yeah.
And he'll go through everybody, and he tries to make he tries to make sure to bounce around. Yeah. Matt's really good at hosting the stuff. And it was great. It was a great conversation. So, first off, the Terminator's great. I love it. But Saturday, I think, God, it's going to be such a beast for him to edit down. I do not envy. Anytime I've been on their show, at the end, I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have to edit this. Not that he has to do a lot of editing, but they're lengthy. They're lengthy episodes. There's a lot of discussion that happens. So, yeah, you should check it out. Go to electronicmediacollective.com. You can hear it there.
They've been hitting some really fun movies lately, and so and even like they've done a poll recently, and it looks like was it Evil Dead 2 or Evil Dead?
Evil Dead, yeah, a poll about
the original. Okay, all right,
yeah.
And I saw that the Big Lebowski was on there. I was like, the Big Lebowski. Come on, I love Evil Dead, but also I want to hear those guys talk about the Big Lebowski for whatever reason. That just
they asked about the direction or the directors. The poll did, and I voted Evil Dead not because it's necessarily a better movie, although it is more in my taste, but because I didn't vote Big Lebowski, which people love. And Coen Brothers are amazing. Donnie. I think my reasoning was I think the Coen Brothers are better directors than Sam Raimi. But Big Lebowski is interesting. They'd been at it for a while. They were already kind of considered, legends at that point. Evil Dead was Sam Raimi's not his first full length, but his first proper full length movie. And that thing has some style. And I was like, for being as stylish as it is, it's not perfect, for being that early in his filmography, I had to go Sam Raimi.
I may
Personally.
have watched Evil Dead 1 more than I've watched the others. You know, I think I'm kind of a snob like this. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I think I've watched Evil Dead 1 more than I've watched Army of Darkness, because Army of Darkness is everybody's go-to, and I'm like, oh, Army of Darkness, it's fine. It's fine.
Right. I've totally watched the first two Evil Deads more than I've watched Army of Darkness. And between the first two, I don't think the first one's a better movie. It's another one of those cases.
No. Yeah.
I don't think the first one's a better movie, but I like it more because
I think there's something about it I like too. I like
there's
the
so much
deer is
character.
so much creepier because it's so unreal.
Right.
Like the unrealness of it is what makes it creepier.
And the first one, by the second one, they're like, okay, full on comedy.
Right.
The first one, they're trying for horror, and it's not always scary. It's usually funny, but they're trying for horror, and that is,
And sometimes
I think,
they
appeals
do
to
hit
me.
it. Like there are some
Right.
parts where I'm like, oh man, that is creepy. Even if it's still kind of funny. It's like that's creepy and funny. I'm like it's like nervous laughter.
And it's got some edge to it that Europe ended up sanding off of Sam Raimi. That tree scene in the first one caused him a lot of trouble later on.
Bet. Yeah.
And so that's why he doesn't go that hard. But
yeah.
Okay.
There's some
Brandon
straight up-
says sorry, I was just gonna say, in full transparency, I probably shouldn't even talk about this on the show, but he said we knocked the ad read out of the park. Both him and his wife said it was great.
Yeah.
Brandon.
That's the Grawlix way, baby.
Yep.
Up next, boner pills. No, we're not talking about that on Grawlix.
I'm gonna have to go off camera for a little bit.
No, we're fine. I didn't say anything. What were we talking about?
Evil Dead.
Oh, right. Anyway, middle-aged movie reviews is a fun show, and if you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. It was almost a 4-hour recording. It's not going to be that long of an episode.
Yeah, no,
that
was one
epic.
thing when I did Enter the Dragon. I did tell them like, I do have a heart out. I'll give you as much time as I can, but I do have a heart out. I'm a public school teacher. I have to go to bed.
They have. I don't know. I was contemplating crashing several of their October episodes. I might cut it back. Maybe one of their October episodes, but they're covering some great horror movies for this October, so I had to jump into at least one of those. Maybe two. We'll see. Yeah. Oh, and Melanie and I did watch. I mentioned the Terminator 0 anime series.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie, what did you think of that?
What? I'm sorry. It's glitching up for me.
It's okay. Oh, okay. The Terminator 0 anime series. What were your thoughts on that?
It was okay. I thought it was good. I like the idea that there's lots of different groups going back in time separately. That's interesting to me. I think they made some of the children too susceptible to changing their opinions and being little whiny bad words. But other than that, it was pretty good. I really liked the nanny chick in the thing. That was good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I know it did frustrate Melanie, like especially like she mentioned that some of the characters, like the things they would do or whatever. But to touch on what Melanie mentioned about different groups going back, it really does play on or reinforce the notion of every time somebody goes back. And I didn't realize even the original Terminator even does this too, specifies this, that they're not necessarily changing the future. And this one really hammers on it. It's just creating a new future. It's creating a new timeline. And it also hammers on the idea that like this happens so many times. Like there's so many different groups, and I think generally I think this is getting pretty favorable reviews. Although I've seen on Reddit some people have negative opinions about like they're like, with if there's no John Connor, no Sarah Connor, it's not Terminator, which is kind of like saying if there's no Skywalker, it's not Star Wars, right? Which I don't agree with. And this is not necessary. If that's your opinion, this is not necessarily going to make a fan of the series for you, of you, whatever, because they don't ever mention John Connor by name, but they say, you know, almost in a dismissive way, that, you know, they've tried to go back and, you know, this leader of this like important leader of a faction and take and erase them from history, and then there's another leader, and then there's another leader, and like, and none of it does anything, none of it does any good. And just the idea of like John Connor's not important, whoever took his place after he was eliminated is not important, whoever, whatever, like it just kind of like, it doesn't dismiss that like from the canon. It's just the opinion of whatever characters we're talking about. It's just like in the long run, none of that matters, because we still always end up in a similar place.
Right.
Except for maybe not this time, right? Like maybe we did it right this time.
Right.
Because it's still like a loop that they're trying to not break, but change enough. Yeah, it's super interesting. It's not, I didn't know what exactly to expect, but it's not really what I expected. There's a couple kind of twists that you can kind of see coming that are interesting.
There's a couple things that I didn't expect to happen that happened that I was like, oh, like it's a little spoilery, maybe. Can I do a little bit spoilery?
Regarding who? What?
Regarding something that he said was going to happen that did happen.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's give it a minor, maybe major. I don't know. Story, spoiler for Terminator Zero series on Netflix.
So he's talking about there's, you know, Skynet's gonna whatever and become conscious and like launch nukes or whatever, and it does. But I mean,
like they did in the best Terminator movie, Terminator X.
Wait,
Terminator X. What's Terminator X?
Wait, isn't that the, or is that Terminator 3?
I don't think I've heard of it.
Oh yeah, I don't know. You're Terminator 3. Yeah.
3? Okay.
Terminator 3.
The one with the chick Terminator. Or is that what they called her? Was Terminator X? I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure. I've watched that one once
because she's the Terminatrix, so it's Terminator X.
She is the Terminatrix. That's not good, is it?
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. There's
a reason I only watched that one once.
Yeah.
No, but okay, yeah, in a similar way where, because this one, we're clearly in a kind of alternate timeline, but it takes place in 97. It jumps around, of course, because it's time travel, but so they're still like kind of on the Terminator 1 T2 timeline of events happening.
Judgment Day idea. Yeah.
Judgment Day 97, yes. And so for a big part, they're trying to stop it. And spoilers, they don't. And at least half the hemisphere is nuked. So yeah. It's pretty interesting and kind of heady. I mean, I'm not saying it's like the most intelligent thing, but they really, especially towards the end, dive more into just like the logistics of it in a way. Like there's an episode where there's at least one episode where a character's just pretty much talking to an AI machine the whole time. That's the episnet, but like it's interesting.
Are they getting to read them articles? Because if not, they're doing it wrong.
Skynet and this other guy, they had it all wrong. Well, they don't need to plug it in and everything. They just need to have it working in an email account over there so you can send it articles.
You can read me articles and it can DM me a little bit if I help it. We're good, baby. Send your Skynet notes at me.
Read me articles and be my dungeon master. You can do whatever you want with everybody else.
That's a Friday night. I love it. That's a date. I'm in.
All right. I didn't even make the AI Terminator connection. I should have. That's this episode. That's what this should have been called. Something
right.
about the AI.
Something about the AI. It writes
Something
itself.
about the AI.
It's
Take
like
over the
there's
world if you
something
want.
about
Just make sure you
Mary,
read to me.
only there's something about AI. It's and there's something about like hair gel, that whole thing.
I also really like
Bookends.
the idea of Terminator, and I know I mentioned this before. It's not LA. It's not. It's this. We're in Japan, and that makes sense. That other countries would be dealing with it in their own ways and having similar situations play out.
So this feels like Animatrix, the way that
Right.
like the Animatrix
Right.
expanded the Matrix movie universe and was somehow better than the sequels that were to come.
Right. Totally. They absolutely. You're right. They absolutely were.
Yeah.
I think the Terminator franchise, especially when I can't speak for the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I didn't really watch it, but then again, it's called the Sarah Connor Chronicles. They needed to break away from the Connors. Like Star Wars is, in my opinion, at least anymore, best when it's not involved with Skywalkers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You definitely
because
break
it's
away
such
from
a
the Connors when Roseanne Barr is involved.
right.
There
Oh
we
yeah,
did
for
it.
sure.
I got political. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Jesse, anything else you watch, consume, read, listen to?
Nothing. I did watch 10 Things I Hate About You. We don't
Interesting.
need to
Interesting.
we don't need to get into that much because it is peak late 90s, early aughts, and it's just a time capsule. If you're interested in reliving that era, I mean, go for it. But it was a weird movie. They even end the movie with like a band on top of a building for no apparent reason, and this is before drone shots. So it's a helicopter. It's a helicopter circling a skyscraper with a band just playing on top of it, and that's how they end the movie with music, just inexplicably. They're not like part of the show or like the movie really, but they do show
Well,
up in the movie. But
it was prom, right? I mean, don't you always play the band on a roof for prom?
I mean, it was the prom. It was the prom band, but this is like weeks after prom when they
Oh,
get back together. When he spends all the ill-begotten money that he was being paid to date her in the first place to buy her a guitar. You're welcome. I watched it for you. that explanation makes that movie make sense for you, right? I mean, but that's basically how it ends. So you're welcome.
Here's my question though: did she in fact have beer-flavored nipples?
Wrong.
No. Wrong. Okay. That is from that movie, right? That line. I'm pretty sure that's from that movie.
So I think that sounds vaguely correct. Again, I didn't study it. I only watched it again, and this is like the second time I've ever watched it too. So
I didn't study it.
I do think that
happened.
like comes up because it is one of those slightly raunchy comedies where it's all about like that's what it's all about. But it's crazy because it's got like Heath Ledger in it, Julia Stiles, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that guy. He's like a baby. He's that little guy in that, But
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing.
Oh, really? You know what else is amazing?
What else is amazing?
Pets. And recently, researchers from Purdue University released a report about the ways that people play with their pets and focused on the game of fetch. So dogs are well known for playing fetch, so it's not surprising that 78% of dog owners reported that their pet fetched. And while all breeds will fetch, the most common is found, that behavior is most commonly found in Labradors, Retrievers, Collies, and other herding and hunting companions. But the surprising find was that fetching is much more common amongst cats than was previously estimated. 41% of owners reported playing fetch with their cats. And again, all breeds will play, but the most common are Burmese, Siamese, and Tonkinese, which I had never even heard of. And then in both species, fetching was less common for females, and of course, animals that are sickly or elderly. And fetching is a type of hunting behavior, so outdoor pets that actually hunt are less likely to engage in it as a fun pastime also. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting to know.
When you listed off all the cats that would do it, I just thought, oh, so they bring it back with the greatest of ease.
Yeah.
Burmese, Siamese,
Uh-huh.
Tonkinese.
Yeah, Tonkinese.
Ah,
I got it.
It's the greatest of the ease.
Uh-huh. I got it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And it also mentioned something I didn't write down, but about those the cats that were taken to the east, kind of have a separate genetic makeup than a lot of the cats in the world, because they went there earlier than other people took cats elsewhere, and so that might have something to do with it, but I don't know.
Huh.
Yep.
Well, that was amazing. Cats are amazing,
Yeah.
and dogs are amazing.
They are.
And having a border collie, I can confirm that. Yeah, he would have played. I mean, even when he could barely walk, he kind of wanted to play fetch. I mean,
Right.
Torx was, he was my border collie, and boy, he could fetch like you wouldn't believe when he was young. Like he would leap
Yeah.
into the air and just like catch a frisbee like nobody's business.
I remember when Bonsai was young, we had like a thing on a string that we would flick around, and he would jump for it, and he would do straight backflips, catch that stuff in the air, and then land. It was amazing.
Yeah, Bonsai would go after things you threw. He ain't bringing it back.
Oh, he's starting.
He wouldn't bring.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah. I get that. That's what Echo would have done. He would have been like, "No, I'm not giving it back to you."
Right.
Let Torx
Yeah.
bring him back to you.
Yeah, I've had other dogs too. I've had dogs that they'd play fetch in that, like, you throw a thing and they'd get it and then chew on it, and then you'd be like, all right, give it here. And them giving it to here is you walk up and have to pull it out of their mouth.
You fight them for it. Like,
yeah.
what are you doing? This is mine now.
I fetched it. It's my reward. Okay, let's see what's coming up. I thought there was something that I'm forgetting. That's a statement.
Your radio show?
Hey, tomorrow night, what do you hey viewers, listeners, what are you doing tomorrow? Tomorrow night, you want to hear some metal?
Well, I was going to have some AI read me an article and then play a little D&D.
You could have
a date night.
I have used AI on what I'm talking about is Edge of the Abyss. It's the radio show I do on Helix Rock Radio, rockradio.live, Friday nights, about the same time, except I'm actually on time, about the same time as Grawlix over here. 8 Central, 9 Eastern. Goes for 2 hours, and I play death metal, black metal, thrash metal, doom metal, sometimes some deathcore, sometimes some metalcore if it's not too poppy sounding. I play a lot of stuff. It's all heavy though, super heavy stuff.
What about funk metal?
Ooh.
No, I mean, sure. I would play some funk metal.
How about some
funk
Swedish folk metal?
I
Like
have played some
Fintroll.
Swedish. I have played some Swedish folk metal, some power metal, some folk black metal. Actually, folk black metal is more. I think I come across that. I play that more frequently than the power metal. But, yeah, all that stuff. I was gonna say I have used more in when I'll the replays I'll edit and fix up some of my flubs because listen, I'm kind of a. First off, I'm not good at words that aren't clearly like English and easy. And so
you watch Japanese shows and you listen to Norwegian metal. Cool.
Well, yeah, I consume all that. I mean, there's a reason I don't have a podcast series about Zatoichi or Godzilla is because people will be like, wait, who are you talking about? And I'd be like, I can't tell you their name. I don't know. The one guy
actor that did the thing in the show.
He was in that other thing. What thing? I can't pronounce the name of it. So I have, for the replays, I've fixed my flubs, and once during the live show, I did have a couple AI versions of my voice queued up to play to say the things that I can't say. I have done that. So, and I will do it again.
Do they sound? Do
I'm
they
not
sound like you? Like,
it's
can people tell?
sometimes most of the time you can tell the inflection's not quite right. It's trained on my, like, I think I fed it a recording of me doing Edge of the Abyss as well as a recording
but
of
did
me.
you feed them a sample where you're saying the names wrong? Because then it's still wrong.
No, I made sure not to do that. I made sure not to do that. The problem is what I'm using, it's not necessarily like set up to do foreign words. So it will itself also flub it in ways that I probably wouldn't have flubbed it, but it's still a flub. But I figure, you know what? If the AI is flubbing it, I could just blame the AI and be like, that was ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. Not my fault.
I think it'd be funnier if you machine trained this thing, or you trained it, machine learning, on how you do it, so it does it correctly, but it enunciates it like a question, just like you do.
I do. I
like,
do that.
Zatu Ichi?
Ichi?
We're like, it does it right, but it sounds like it's questioning itself. That would be incredible, because that would be peak Randy right there.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's a dead giveaway. Even if I pronounce a thing right, if I put it in a question like that, I'm not sure. And I'm just letting you know that if it's wrong, I wasn't sure anyway.
Yeah. It's because it's a name, and nobody does names correctly.
I just feel so like most people are fine, whatever, they'll move on with it. But there's always that one guy or whoever who's like deeply offended. But also, I don't want to sound like a dumb American or a dumb white guy. I don't like that feeling.
Right.
Even if it's true. So I try to avoid
the worst
that feeling.
Is when you're a teacher of children, and then those children like you and respect you as an adult, so they let you say it wrong for months. And then one day they have had enough, and they're like, it's this. And I'm like, you let me say it wrong for months. What? Don't let me do that. I'm not trying to say it wrong, but I'm going to need help to learn it.
Right.
Makes me think of that Key and Peele skit with the teacher with all the kids with the Aaron,
Oh, yes, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, okay. That's the main thing I got going on. Mispronouncing. Come listen to me tomorrow. Mispronounce metal bands. It's mostly music.
And using robots to mispronounce names.
And using robots. I don't do that too often, unless I have a block of, like, especially once we get into the black metal. We get a block of, like, Norwegian black metal bands. I'm like, cue up some AI files.
Your tongue
real
goes
quick.
numb looking at it.
Yeah. It's like my eyes just went cross-eyed trying to figure that out in my head. No. I do attempt. That's almost worse. Otherwise, I don't have too much else going on at the moment. I don't think. Just working.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, working for a living.
That's how we. The show kind of ended on a weird, winding down.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. Shout out again. What was the listenlater.net? I should definitely make sure I got that right.
That sounds right. Listenlater.net.
Yeah, listenlater.net. Shout out to that sponsor, because Brandon's pretty much like Helix Rock Radio is a passion project, and it's all on Brandon. And so if that's an interesting sponsor, if that's an interesting service to you, definitely check it out because it helps the radio station.
Yep.
All right. Thanks everybody. Grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com if you want to hear more. Thursdays can get bent. Bye.
Bye.